G'day everybody, before we get into the episode this week, let's have some predictions for what's going to happen in the Nintendo Direct. I'm recording this the night before things go down, so let's see if we get anything right, and obviously once the episode starts, I'll know whether I'm right or wrong, and let's assume I'm going to be wrong, but for the first one, I'm going to be very confident in saying this. But no Mario Kart will be shown. I know everybody since bloody 2019 have been raving about a brand new Mario Kart. Goodness gracious. Why do you think we're going to be getting a brand new Mario Kart, guys? We got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's selling like gangbusters. It's over 40 million sold, and people still reckon we're going to get Mario Kart bloody 9. Bloody ridiculous. I know we're a bit sick of the same tracks. I know we're a bit sick of, just the alright online support and all that. But, guys, let's get something new. There's so many other franchises we can touch, For the first time in bloody years, we've got a console that's already touched on Super Smash Bros. And a 3D Mario and all that. And we can sort of put some new things into the rotation. Get out of your head that we need a brand new Mario Kart. Let's get some new games from Nintendo. Jesus Christ, that's a bit of a rant. But it needed to happen, everyone. It really did need to happen, all right? But another safe one, I would say, is a brand new Donkey Kong game. We had rumours last year, and we didn't see a game from the Tokyo team in Japan, and it would be very nice to get a brand new game from them. They're always gems. I think the last one, Mario Odyssey, is fantastic. I don't think it was a favourite of mine. I think playing the port of 3D World, I actually may prefer 3D World, especially with the Bowser's Fury add-on. That was fantastic. But another kind of hopeful prediction for me is maybe a new Grezzo port. I think it was last year we got Miitopia. That was a port from the 3DS. So, it was kind of a weird... it was really sort of weird that they decided to do Miitopia of all games. But I'd like to see another 3DS game ported by them. But Kit Icarus Uprising, love Kit Icarus Uprising. It suffered so much because of its controls using the stylus on the touchscreen. But now, with the power of a second analog stick, goodness gracious, that game will be taken to new heights on Nintendo Switch, I reckon. So, Kid Icarus, I'd love to see that return. And, look, if they bring out Mario Kart and Mario Kart, you can play as Link, and there's even a couple of other Nintendo characters you can play as Lucas from the Earthbound series, that Mother 3 game you never got. Yeah. Anyway, let's see what we actually got. Let's discuss Nintendo Direct in all things Nintendo. G'day everybody, and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australia Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 214 are open. This week on the show, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct that just happened. Nintendo Switch sales are through the roof, and much more. So to discuss all that is just myself, and what you might be able to hear is I'm actually in the car. I hope the audio is holding up all right for you guys. And the reason I'm in the car is I actually have a bit of an announcement myself, So I haven't said anything on social media or anything just yet, but to all my friends and to the people that take their time out of their day, maybe just this week, or maybe you guys have been listening for a little while, I'd like to share some news that my wife and I have had our little baby boy. He's nice and healthy, he's happy, he's just a little bundle of joy, and we're absolutely stoked and just in love with him already. A couple of days ago, he was born, so I'm heading down to the hospital to go and see my wife. It's a little bit hard because I get kicked out of the hospital overnight, so I've got to go home, but I guess what it allows me to do is have a bit of rest and all of that, be recharged and get back there. So to sort of fit in the time after watching the Direct in the morning, I've got to record this in the car. So I've got my handheld recorder. I'm heading into the city, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So yeah, really really stoked with having a little boy. So what's happened with this episode is I'm recording the Nintendo Direct sort of reaction on the way to the hospital, but the rest of the news I've recorded back in the studio the night before, so the second half of the episode will be sort of not knowing what the Direct is, which is not too bad at all. But let's get straight into it, guys. So the Nintendo Direct was pretty good. I really liked it. There's some games in there which I've been asking for a long time, and I'm just stoked. So there's about 3 titles or so, or that I just cannot wait to play. And the best thing about it is that a lot of these games are coming up very soon. I think the furthest away game was Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which was September. So typically at the start of the year, we like to get a bit of a highlight or a bit of a roadmap for the first 6 months, which is, what you're looking forward to until E3. And then you get the biggest announcements there, because then you get like the holiday announcements and all that. Like, what we didn't see was the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. That's fine. If I expected anything, it would have been very much like a bit of a teaser trailer, just to hype us up a bit more, because at E3 last year, it was just kind of crazy how we got such little information. Like, here you go. And it's just like snippets of, really quickly cut together footage. And, we just ate that up when we looked at that and tried to figure out where the timeline fits and what's happened in the world of Hyrule after the events of Breath of the Wild. And, it's just, us Nintendo fans, we're a bit bloody crazy. So it was cool to see that. But we didn't get that there, unfortunately. The Donkey Kong game, which I sort of talked at the start of the episode, like, a bit of a prediction. We didn't see anything from the Tokyo team, which is fine. I think we will see it this year, though, at E3. It sort of depends on where Breath of the Wild 2 fits, because it's all very well and good back in 2017 having The Legend of Zelda and Mario released in the same year, but they were spaced as far as possible apart. One in March and one in November. So I don't know about that. Maybe we won't get the Mario game this year. And you know what? I don't particularly need it. Well, not the Mario game. It could be the Donkey Kong game. I'm not sure. Might be both. That'd be cool. But regardless, I'm happy just with one of those games, and the rest of development time just used to make whichever one doesn't make it the best it can possibly be. Another one is Mario Kart 9. Everyone was talking about Mario Kart 9, and I want to sort of elaborate on what I said before the title played for the podcast. So, everyone's like, alright, it's time for a new Mario Kart, and people have been saying that for a long time, and I get it, alright? I've been playing Mario Kart 8 since 2014 on the Wii U. I put hundreds of hours on the Wii U, and I've put another 100 so hours on with the Switch. And Mario Kart 8 is great, but you can only play the same courses so many times again and again and again. And, there's a few other modes we like to see in there just to be a bit more inventive and all of that. And, I think we will get that, but I don't think it will be on Switch. I think Switch just really proves that, Nintendo needs a big hitter at the very start to start momentum and then attract the third parties, the indies, and everyone else that will make a good ecosystem on their platform. And the Wii U, it comes out with a 2D Mario game. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to make people excited to go and buy brand new expensive hardware. So I think, Mario Kart is literally the most appealing thing they have to the hardcore, to the mass market, to everything. And it just really does reflect in the sales. So I think, really, it'll be smart for them to hold it close to their chest. Develop it in the background. Just have a nice, long, prolonged development time on it and make it just an amazing Mario Kart game, the best one it can be at launch for the next system. Look, whether that's like Switch 2 or something different, or just like a Switch Pro, whatever it is, just make sure that it pushes that hardware to continue momentum. And there's also the other thing, it's just like, us Nintendo fans, we get in the pattern. We're pretty predictable, and I think for the first time in years, we're finally at a point where we can be like, okay, we've got Super Smash Brothers. We don't have to look to the horizons for Smash Brothers. We will be getting Zelda, we will be getting Pokemon, but Mario Kart's done. Like, a lot of these franchises that do appear on each console, they're done. So these teams can take a break now that, well, not a break, but like a break from the franchises now that we actually have a decent amount of them out there. Like, for example, we've got so many franchises that we'd love to see come to Switch still with brand new iterations. We'd love to see a brand new Pikmin game. Personally, I'd love to see Kid Icarus, and there's just multiple titles like that. There's lots of Punch-Out fans out there. just like games like this, they need to be coming and just like looking to Mario Kart. It's like, all right, guys, all right, we don't need it. And in the direct, we got our answer. Really happy that it's getting DLC, which is fantastic. I'm really excited for that. But we'll talk a bit about that a bit later. What was my other prediction? Kit Krysta. Sorry, didn't get any. As far as I said, didn't get any Grezzo ports from the 3DS. So yeah, that's what it is. I wonder what they're working on though. Like, unless I missed something, I wonder what they're working on, because they are a very interesting studio. Anyway, all right. So that's my predictions out the way. Pretty wrong, but I'm glad I was wrong, at least on the Mario Kart thing. If there was a new Mario Kart, I'll be keen. I'll be getting it day one. Don't get me wrong. That'll have my money. And if it was like a all-out different Mario Kart with heaps of different modes and all that, it'd be pretty exciting. But I think it just needs to be saved for a better chance. All right. So let's jump into some of the announcements made at this direct. So just off the bat, like I said, very, very happy with it. Just with a few titles alone, which made me happy. It wasn't like they weren't like the big hitters that you would maybe a lot of people were looking for. If you're a big Zelda fan, you're not going to see that. Obviously Mario and a lot of the big franchises weren't there. But we just had Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're gearing up for Kirby, and we got some other smaller games to fill those slots, and some bigger ones as well. So the first one was a brand new Fire Emblem Warriors game. And this was at the very start. And I got to admit, guys, my eyes did sort of glaze over. I respect Fire Emblem. I think the Warriors side of the games is interesting, and a lot of fans enjoy them. They keep on making them. But honestly, checking my things to recording. Sorry. Honestly, just the first Fire Emblem Warriors, I didn't really play it that much. It was fine. Didn't get through it, so it doesn't excite me too much. But just the fact that it's in the Fire Emblem Three Houses universe, which is a great sort of story. It seems like that it's going to be sort of an alternate universe where the story's a bit different and things play out differently, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting. I guess they got to play this game from just the one perspective, that like all the sides are in the same story. That's what it seems like. So they changed it up a bit where you can't just choose a side, and then you get the really nuanced story in between. So be interesting. I assume it's going to be kind of similar to the other games. Yeah, I was actually, when I was setting up my OBS to record some reactions, and things weren't working, so I was just fiddling around with OBS actually when it was time when this trailer was playing. So I'm glad a lot of you guys out there will be getting this game if you're big fans. Next up was actually Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. So the remake of the original two games on Game Boy Advance. It's got a release date, the 8th of March. It's coming, 8th of April, sorry. It's coming up relatively quick, which is good. It's got a pretty meaty delay, and it's got full voice acting, and it's actually looking pretty good. Like personally for me, I never really played Advance Wars, so nostalgia isn't really pushing me too much, and like the $80 price tag is like a pretty big ask just for a game I'm not super, super. Oh Jesus, there's a trailer just pulling out in front of a car in the highway here, which is a bit scary. But yeah, it's a bit, maybe a bit of an ask for me. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up necessarily. There's actually a fair few games coming out in April, so I'm pretty keen for that. There's a big one later on. Okay, so this is the one I want to talk about. On June 10th, we're getting Mario Strikers Battle League Football, and Jesus Christ, guys, I lost my shit. I haven't been this excited for a video game announcement in a long time. Just absolutely stoked that Mario Strikers is coming back. When I was going through the trailer, I was looking at like the small text, seeing if I could see like if it was made by Next Level Games, anything like that. I assume it's not made by Camelot. They just released Mario Golf last year. If they've got that good a turnaround, that might explain the quality of Mario Golf on maybe potentially. But I really do hope it is made by Next Level Games. Next Level Games would be due for a game, so I'm literally recording this straight after I got out the car, and a lot of the outlets haven't even put their roundups yet. It's that quick, so forgive me if I don't have all the information. I am driving
my car as well. So I'm just going off my memory here. But it looks fantastic, guys. It's like, it really is everything I'd want from a sequel to Mario Strikers. You know, it's got online clubs, supports up to 20 people within those clubs. So, guys, definitely June 10th we'll be making a House of Mario club in Mario Strikers. That is guaranteed. Unlike, you know, Mario Golf, we played a bit online and stuff like that, but I'm telling you right now, Mario Strikers will be a common mainstay within our community. So if you want someone to play with Mario Strikers, please jump in the Discord. There's an invite in the show notes. You're more than welcome to come in. Really, really stoked for this one, guys. And just like the idea of it, like some of the power-ups, it showed that, like, you know, it showed footage of Luigi, you know, scoring a goal with a power-up, and it actually counts for 2 goals. I was like, oh my god. So that's going to be a pretty big game changer as well, like, you know, using your sort of abilities in that at the correct time to, like, double your points, which would be really fun. And like, for those that didn't play Strikers Charged on the Wii, like, it was just brutal, just like the way the characters were just kicking each other. And while this game doesn't look quite as brutal, it still looks pretty brutal. Literally just like just jump kicking other characters into like an electric fence, electrocuting them while you run off with the ball. It does look really cool. So really, really am stoked with that one. June 10th can't come soon enough. Like, when I was watching these dates, like, you know, Mario Strikers come up, and I will put my reaction on Twitter and YouTube. But, you know, when it came up, I literally went, yes, yes. I was just like so happy, like, finally, like, you know, it's a good start to a direct. Like, you know, with a Fire Emblem Warriors title, you know, not so much my thing, but Strikers Charged, absolutely stoked. I hope it does continue to get like updates and stuff like that. I hope it's you know, supported pretty well by the developer and Nintendo. I would like to see maybe Switch Online benefits and stuff like that. I reckon it'd be really great. If Nintendo plays their cards right, this will be a pretty strong online game, especially with this year. It's a big year in the world of football. It's the World Cup. If everything goes forward, you know, people will be looking for a brand new football game to play. And I know FIFA is the mainstay. Not so much on Switch, mind you. You just get legacy editions on Switch. But it would be great, you know, sort of see maybe them play into that. Maybe even with the FIFA license being sort of let go by EA this year, maybe we will see maybe some FIFA collaborations. I don't know how. Maybe just some kits or something within the game. You can wear the Guernseys and all of that. Maybe that will be in there. That'll be pretty cool. Like, I actually play soccer in real life, so, you know, I'm a big fan of the sport. Even if I don't watch and follow a lot of the professional teams, I just love playing it. And I think Mario Strikers is just like football video game goodness, just turned up to the max. Like, there's no bloody fouls, there's no offside, there's just bloody kick each other into an electric fence, big power-up moves, and just get that ball into the back of the goal, no matter the cost. So, man, cannot wait for that one. Cannot wait. That is my most anticipated game until its release on the June 10th. Alright, what we got up next? Splatoon 3. So, yeah, we got some sort of more information on the new Salmon Run mode, which is titled Salmon Run Next Wave. We saw some of the enemies, a brand new massive salmon enemy, and it looks like, to me, just looking at it and not have played Splatoon 3 in a long time, it looked kind of similar to me. Like, I thought I remember, but then like the big boss battles like fall in as well. So like some of the maybe the boss battles or mini boss battles you'd expect from the campaign actually just fall in, and you got to deal with them as like one of the waves, which is pretty cool. It's got like a bit of a story where we're actually looking to track this big mysterious behemoth salmon down. Looks pretty cool. But I think, like, to a lot of people that you know, maybe haven't pretty casual Splatoon players, you might be like, oh, I can't quite see the difference. I know, like, Wacko Jacko and Delfino and that in our Discord community will be typing furiously on their keyboards as they're listening to this, being like, look, there's so much difference. I can see, like, the airtime of the Inkling is completely different. And look, I completely get that. I'm that nerdy when it comes to, like, Smash Brothers updates and Pokemon as well. Like every generation, like you're looking at buffs and debuffs to certain Pokemon stats and different moves and abilities and all that. Like I get it. But regardless, I'm really looking forward to Splatoon 3. Comes out summer for the American seasons, so we're looking at June onwards. So I would expect this to be July or something. The Splatoon 3 fell I believe July in 2017, so it seems like a good place for it to fall, especially if we are getting announcements for Zelda and that coming at the end of this year. So this will be a good place for it after some of these more I guess a little bit smaller titles. Like I do think that Strikers is a smaller title than Splatoon 3, obviously, but yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing more of the campaign and what they do with online modes and all of that. I think a big thing would be look, I know this is a bit trite at this point, but Battle Royale, I know it's just like Splatoon community probably might not want it, but I think it'll be a lot of fun actually. I think just like Battle Royales in a lot of games are fun, even if it's like I don't play any of them, but I think it would be cool. I think like a Mario Kart Battle Royale, that should be really cool, because a Battle Royale would kind of fix the problems Mario Kart Battle Mode has, where what made Mario Kart 64 on Block 4 so much fun is there's so much tension when it was just the last two of you. So like that just escalated would be pretty cool. Just the balancing with like a heap of red shells, I don't quite know how they'll do that, but just blue shells, poof, 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 everyone's dead, and the game's over. Alright, so we got information on a Chrono Cross remaster, and this was interesting because as soon as it popped up, I'm like, oh yeah, so that was leaked in the NVIDIA leak, which was actually a little while ago. A lot of games that actually turned out to be true, but actually getting announced like around now, which is like Crysis 4 and that was in the NVIDIA leak, so that was there. So if you're a Chrono Cross fan, cool, you're getting a nice remaster on the Switch. We got more information for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and this trailer actually kind of really sunk in the feeling that I really want to play this game. Like the first look at the game, it looks like, oh, this is like looks like the Mario 3D World team have been making this game, and it looks really nice. And the ability where you can have like supersize, you can just suck in big things. Like the first thing it shows you is a car that you suck in, and Kirby's just like, it doesn't turn into the car, it just stretches over it. It looks so painful, and I was just blown back by this trailer, man. I was just that, like, the gameplay looks a lot of fun, like all the abilities you have access to, as well as like the objects you find in the world to help you sort of traverse, whether it is sucking in the car or a vending machine spitting out cans, or like a tire where it just makes your mouth into like a big blow fan and you can blow throughout the level. Like, it just looks really creative, a lot of fun, very colourful. I'm really looking forward to this game in March 25th. Actually really excited for a Kirby game, and I don't think I've ever been excited for a Kirby game, to be honest. This looks like the most in-depth sort of game in the series, and there's like a sort of a town building aspect as well, where you can go back to a certain village or whatever, and just like build out the infrastructure and the services, and as you progress through the game. So really stoked about that. Cannot wait. It's kind of similar to Pokemon actually. You go out, you come back to Jubilee Village. So very cool. We got a Portal collection coming to the Switch containing Portal 1, Portal 2. Pretty cool, as well as, like, I think obviously very old games that came out on PC years ago and consoles. It was like 2010, I feel like. Portal 2, I can't quite remember. But, Portal 2, one of the best games of all time. So it's great that it's come to the Switch. Why not, I guess. But I think what's more interesting is that there's like a bit of a relationship with Valve. I don't know I don't know if this collection is popping up on other platforms. It probably is. It's probably coming to the PlayStation and Xbox consoles. But what I really hope is that it makes a bit of a relationship with Valve, and more older Valve titles will come to Switch, because Valve are the main competitors to the Switch now with the Steam Deck. Well, not really, but as far as the actual device goes, it appeals very much to someone who wants a Switch form factor. myself included. I really want a Steam Deck, but here in Australia we couldn't order them, and God knows when we're going to be able to order them now, when they'll make them available to a bit more of a wider demographic. We got a game from Square Enix, Live Alive. Is that how you pronounce it? Live Alive. Yeah. It's coming to Nintendo Switch the 22nd of July, which actually looks really cool. It's a HD remaster, which is something Square Enix have been really successfully doing, of a game that never actually came out in the West. So when I was watching it, I'm like, I've got no idea what this is, but it kind of reminded me of Octopath Traveler, where it has like multiple stories within the one game. I don't know if they all link up or you just play them all separately, but it's interesting. Like, maybe that's where the what's going on here? This trailer's like just pulled off with no indicator on. Fucking Christ. Anyway, so really, really keen about that one. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I haven't seen that yet, but it seems like really interesting. And like Square Enix, like I want them to remaster the Pokemon games, man. Like, you know, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, you know, just takes the mechanics of the Pokemon games and puts a really bland, lifeless coat of paint over them. But the pixel art is what made those games character pop, and they really need to enhance that. They really need to just do a really nice lighting engine, maybe 3Dify a little bit, and use the sprites to redo the sprites. So I think like that is really what I want for the Pokemon series. I would love to see that. So anytime I see like the HD remasters for like whether it's Dragon Quest 3 or even the original games like Triangle Strategy, which is coming out soon as well, I really do want to see that for maybe some of Nintendo's games. Like, you know, whether it is like if they do decide to bring Mother 3 to the West, like just go all out. Like do the 3D or the HD remaster sort of treatment to it, make it look awesome, do the localization, all that. I think that'd be great. But I guess while we're talking about Earthbound and Mother, you know, the first two games in the series are coming to the Switch online service, which is great. It should have been there a long time ago. When it's just doing a trailer for them, I'm like, I literally expected this back in 2019, but here we are. It's great, nevertheless. I've been waiting to play Earthbound on my Switch for a little while. So cool. I don't know if I have the bandwidth with all the games coming out now. That's the thing. Like we've had a real quiet year in 2022, and kind of relatively quiet in 2021, depending on your tastes. I would have loved it back in 2020. Just beef up the virtual console in 2020 when all you had was Animal Crossing and Age of Calamity. It's like seriously. But now it's like, oh, we've got games and we're beefing up the virtual console a bit more with Nintendo 64 and finally the Earthbound games. So all right, well, better time than never. But never, I guess. All right, so this is one. This is basically my second most hyped announcement. Was Wii Switch Sports. So Wii Sports, obviously a phenomenon. What launched the Wii into its success. Another title that really does showcase is important to have strong software at launch. And we were talking in the Discord, I was saying that I really do want more games on Switch that utilize the Joy-Cons. And to be honest, how they've utilized the Joy-Cons since, say, 1-2 Switch, which I think was very basic, but really unlocked your imagination when it came to utilizing the Switch's features. I think that, you know, it's a bit lacking. Like, you know, I think Labo's very, very imaginative, but it's not for me. It's for young children, which is great. I think, you know, the Switch is a device which is able to be enjoyed by young children, but, you know, it's just not for me. You know, I wanted something which is like, you know, put the Switch down, like, you know, something my parents can play who aren't hardcore gamers, something my wife can play who isn't very confident with a controller, pressing buttons and, you know, all of that. Even like Telltale games she struggles with. So, you know, I've tried. I really have tried. But I wanted something like, you know, some of the Wii experiences I've had. And, you know, we used to play Wii Sports and WarioWare Smooth Moves and, you know, just chucking the controller to each other and really enjoying it that way. Real sort of basic movements that is easy just to explain to someone. And we were really hoping that there was going to be like a Nintendo Sports. Don't worry about the Wii Sports and Wii Play and all that. Just have Nintendo this, Nintendo that, and they can be the casual sort of games that you can pick up on Switch and play with anyone that utilize the Switch's features, because honestly, games like, say, Breath of the Wild 2 and the next Mario game and all of that, they're not going to utilize these features. They're going to be played in handheld mode, and that's great. That's what I want for those games. Don't get me wrong. But I think having this is going to be really fantastic. Really happy that they're going with sort of the Wii Switch Sports, which is absolutely fantastic, and it includes the ones you'd want as well as some brand new ones. So we got badminton, which I really like the tennis. So having, basically in this game, it's just going to be, what physics do you feel like? Do you feel like, a bit heavier and with a bounce, or do you just feel like a bit airy and hitting it in the air? Which I'm looking forward to playing badminton. I really enjoyed badminton when I was in high school. So I hope that it's, I hope it's going to, I'm going to use my skill from when I was 15 for badminton. It's been a long time. And the other one's volleyball, which I can see volleyball being a lot of fun. We got the demo for volleyball with Kimishima and... No, not Kimishima. I forgot the names while I'm driving. I'm going around a roundabout at the moment. About to go into McDonald's, so I'm concentrating a little bit there. But as far as that goes, we're going to get an update for golf. So I actually kind of forgot about golf. I'm like, oh, yeah. When they said there's going to be an update, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, golf is a pretty big admission. I feel like this is going to be better than Mario Golf. Very different, mind you. So yeah, really looking forward to it. It's got online modes, local support, which, goodness gracious, you would hope it would have. And very, very excited for it. It's pretty much got a... Jeez, why is everyone like putting the indicators on last minute? McDonald's is very busy as well. I'm going to be channeling a little bit of the Xbox Drive with Sean Capri and Console Kato. Going through... Oh my god, there's only... Okay, so there's only one lane. There's one shot. I don't know what's going on here. There's like a guy in one of the lanes, and he's got like... Okay, so all right. We got some electricians fixing the drive-through on one side. Gotcha. So that's why it's a bit more... I get out of the way a bit. So it's not as seamless as I would like. Maybe I should have gone to the other McDonald's on the other side of town. I actually think it might have been a bit quicker. Anyway. So yeah, really excited for Nintendo Switch Sports. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's not Wii Sports. It's very Nintendo Switch Sports. A few more syllables there, but really, really keen for it. It shows off like the characters in it. They're like more detailed Miis, but when like the demo came on, they used like just your standard low detail Miis, which was a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I'd like to actually customize those more in-depth looking avatars. They looked a lot like the Xbox avatars from the 360 era, if any of you guys played Xbox then. And what else we got here? Oh yes. Oops. Press the button. I only press the volume button. It's okay. We're getting brand new paid DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So 48 tracks, which is just amazing. We're getting it in 6 packs, all the way until the end of 2023, which is pretty cool. And I think the biggest thing as well is that it is included in the Switch expansion pass. So not only will we get the Animal Crossing DLC, we'll also get the Mario Kart DLC a part of it, which is really great value. So I'm someone who looked at the $30 increment and went, really, like, it's nice that you're chucking in $30 worth of Animal Crossing. That's great, but for Nintendo 64 games, especially when they weren't working, the emulation wasn't where it needed to be. The homebrew community was like, you guys serious? We can do it 5 times better than you on your own platform. It's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest. But now with this, it's like, okay, I haven't actually dug into the Animal Crossing DLC yet because, when Animal Crossing, when it came out, I was sort of having a bit of a break from games, sort of in general. And I don't know when I'll get the chance to get back to it, just with everything coming out. But really, really am stoked. So we are approaching the window here. I think I'm going to get like a chicken wrap with like a Coke. I know if any of you guys listen to... Oh, here we go. Listen to the Nintendo Drive. You know Sean gets a Diet Coke. I'm going to get just a normal Coke. Yes. Wait till they actually ask me. See, on the Nintendo Drive, they're actually able to sort of vent a little bit while Sean's waiting for them to make an order. Whereas I've just got to do it myself. And I don't know when it's going to kick in. It's a bit... Oh. Can I please get a large chicken wrap meal with a Coke?
Unfortunately, it's not quite 10:30, so the only lunch items we have available are cheeseburgers, Big Macs, double cheeseburgers, nuggets, or fries.
Okay, can't we just have a large Big Mac meal then?
Yeah. What drink would you like for that one?
Coke, thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
That's all, thanks.
So just a large Big Mac meal with a Coke?
Yes, thank you.
No, it's cabin through for me.
Thank you. So you can't... It's not... Is it all day breakfast, but not all day lunch? Is that how it works? Alright, well... It's not quite... What's the time? So at 10:30, so I'm a quarter of an hour too early for a wrap? Is that what you're saying, McDonald's? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that at all, guys. That's a bit rough. Anyway... what was I talking about? Mario Kart 8. So, yeah, I think the value for the expansion pass is a lot greater now. Really am keen to get it. So, you know, then I'll get both the DLC, and I think it was sort of up in the air whether Nintendo were actually going to support, you know, the game with more DLC. Hold on. Yes, thank you. Yep. Okay, thank you. You too. All right. Yeah, it was sort of up in the air whether, you know, Mario Kart was going to get more DLC. We sort of assumed not because it's been this long. And also just whether Switch Online would be supporting that expansion pass with more, you know, DLC because it wasn't confirmed.
It's on here.
Yep.
On there. Chasing up your food, please.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. This one.
Just venting a little bit while McDonald's gets my Big Mac. Not a big... Thank you. Awesome. Alright, McDonald's is acquired. We're about 5 minutes away from the hospital now. Very, very nice. Anyway, just... sorry, it's a bit broken up with the McDonald's drive-thru a bit, but... let's get onto the highway here. It's very exciting. So, I guess, just my opinion on the Big Mac. I'm not a big fan of the Big Mac, but when it's just like given the choice out of like a cheeseburger, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's the Big Mac. I had a Big Mac yesterday, actually, on the for like brunch as I went in, so I got the exact same thing. I got a Coke to wake me up a little bit, but apart from that, yeah, not a big fan of the Big Mac. I think like Hungry Jack's here in Australia is the way to go for burgers if you want just like a quick drive-through burger. Obviously, there's way more better options for burgers than like just like these fast food joints, but yeah. Hungry Jack's the way to go. That's Burger King, I guess, in the States. I don't know how different they are. Burger King, they had to change their name because Burger King was already taken up by like a smaller store, I think. So yeah, they're Hungry Jack's in Australia. But anyway, sorry, I've broken up this Mario Kart discussion a little bit, but yeah, I didn't know whether the online pass would support more DLC. I wasn't quite sure. They never really said that. Look, going in the future, more Nintendo first-party titles will be supported with DLC for your $30 for your $60 subscription. And now that we are seeing Mario Kart join that, so you're getting two paid DLCs together, I think that's a very, very good sign that we will see more DLC in the future. Like, for example, Pokemon Legends Arceus, will we see that join? I know that's a little bit different, a bit of a second-party game with the Pokemon Company basically handling that game, published by Nintendo, mind you. So it's a little bit of a weirder situation. Breath of the Wild 2, when that eventually gets DLC, will we see that in the expansion pass? A lot of questions. I wish they were just a bit more upfront saying, look, like even if it's like one of our games will be having DLC included. I think it's just like, you know, with PlayStation Plus, it is just like, all right, you get 3 games a month for your subscription. It's very, very clear. Xbox Game Pass, you know, you get access to 100 so games and it gets updated basically monthly, but it's actually a little bit more than that depending on when games drop. it's very clear of what you get. We've switched online. It's like, oh yeah, look, you get the games. Nintendo 64 games currently are being added once a month. You get Animal Crossing DLC. You're like, oh well, is that what we get each month? Then it's just like randomly, hey look, we're going to be having increments of Mario Kart DLC come out, and yeah, it's included. So well, that's great news, but maybe let us know that like your service will actually be decent value. So when I could have bought it earlier, to be honest. Be like, oh well, all right, well it's going to be better in the future. But it's good to save my money anyway, because at the moment it's not personally worth my cash. But when Mario Kart DLC starts dropping, but I guess about the actual content itself, it will be like remastered tracks from previous games, and it's cool to see. I think the coolest bit was actually seeing tracks from Mario Kart Tour, which is the mobile Mario Kart game. And Mario Kart Tour is actually hot trash, just in the way it's monetized and the way the monetization eats its way into the gameplay, which you're basically looking for roles where you can get different characters that work better on better tracks. They're able to use more items. Like, it's just like a bit of a mess. It's like, all right, I think I might not play this game, but I think it's got some really cool tracks. They've been doing like a world tour. Yeah, well, it makes sense. They've been doing like a world tour where it's got tracks from various countries. There's like there's one for Paris, and there's one for Australia, for Sydney and stuff like that. And the one they showcased from Mario Kart Tour was the Paris one with the Eiffel Tower and that. I think that's really cool that those tracks are making it into the game. And I think for a lot of fans, probably don't touch Mario Kart Tour, so this is going to be a brand new track. It is for me, at least. Like, it isn't going to be a remaster. It's just going to be a brand new track, which is based off a real world location. So I think that's going to be one of the more exciting sort of games to get tracks from. So yeah, very cool. And the last game, which was like the it wasn't really a one more thing. It was very much just like, all right, we got this is the last one. Enjoy. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is just a big game coming September. I've got to catch up on the other games, guys. I can't just say that I'm a big fan or anything. I've got to play Definitive Edition and number 2. I've bought them, but I think I'm in the mood for a big meaty game after playing Pokemon. I've just come off 60 hours of playing that, so I'm pretty keen to put in another 60 so hours into another JRPG. So I think I need to play through those 2 games before number 3. Whether it will happen or not with a new baby and when I start working that, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, probably not. I'm not going to make any promises. No point putting the pressure on myself. I've got some other more important things to deal with. But anyway, looking forward to it. The game looks really cool though. Like, I got no context for the story necessarily, but just from the art style, which was always great, and the graphics look really nice. Looks like it's running well. Like, I think one of the big problems with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is just like, it didn't run so well, especially in handheld mode. There were complaints there just with the resolution. Oh, I've got to get in this park and someone's like overlapped the line here. God. Beep, 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 beep. Alright. We got in there nice and easy. Cool. Alright. And we're there. We're at the hospital. Awesome. Handbrake on. So yeah, I think this is going to be a big one for a lot of people. Coming out September, so that November month is left open for what I feel like is going to be Breath of the Wild 2. I'm going to be surprised if it doesn't make it this year, guys. I actually really am going to be surprised if we don't see that. We've got a lot of other games to be shown and announced at E3, which is really, really cool. I cannot wait for the rest of this year. It's looking really nice. Like, just games we already know about, like Sparks of Hope from Ubisoft. Is going to be a lot of fun as well, and we don't know anything about that when it's coming out. So we got a really packed year, especially compared to the last couple. It's going to be a lot of fun to sort of, wade through some of these games and really dig into them. And I know, like, just like the sports titles, Strikers and Wii Sports. I'm gonna always call it Wii Sports. Nintendo Switch Sports. It is a mouthful. Is going to keep me occupied for a long time. And looking back on this, it is funny that like the 2 games where I'm like, yes, the sports games. I'm not a sports game player, but I think they're just like, especially the 2 series where I'm like, yeah, Yeah, I want that. So overall, I think it was a great direct. There weren't like there wasn't Zelda and all that. If people were going into it being like, look, we're going to get a release date, and the release date's going to be in 4 months for Zelda. No way. That is something they're going to save for a big E3 showcase. Like personally, for me, if I'm looking at my year where I'm like, all right, we've got to do the marketing for Zelda that's coming out in November, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wouldn't blow my load. The second month of the year, you've got to eke it out. Because, look, if Nintendo said everything that's coming out this year or in the next, say, 18 months, it'll be next month and we're like, hey, where's the Nintendo Direct? It's like, look, guys, we literally told you everything. They need to eke it out. Us Nintendo fans were greedy. So, yeah, I'll give this Nintendo Direct an 8 out of 10, personally. It hit 2 games, which I really, really wanted. And Mario Strikers was most likely next up on the cards. They like putting out their sports games. But, Nintendo Switch Sports definitely wasn't. It's a little bit of a curveball going back to one of their most successful games. So it's not really much of a risk. But I'm glad to see it nevertheless. So, guys, I'm at the hospital. I'm going to go in and see my wife and my son. Oh, by the way, my son's name, we've called him Lucas, which I didn't name him after Mother 3, Lucas, or... a lot of people will recognise him from Super Smash Brothers. Didn't name him that, but I gave a bit of a hint to my mother-in-law. I said it starts with a letter in the middle of the alphabet, and it's he shares the name with a protagonist from a unique Nintendo JRPG that did not make it to the West. And she's like, right. I'm like, well, you can go and Google that. You can go and find out that, Mother 3 and the protagonist's name is Lucas. But she didn't. She wasn't that she wasn't that worried. She wanted a bit of a surprise when he was born anyway. So, no, really, really stoked. Can't wait to go and see him. I got my McDonald's. I saw my Nintendo Direct. And, yeah. So let's move on to the rest of the news, guys, and go to Drew in the studio.
Woohoo! Yeah! Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Wahoo!
My body is still.
Alrighty, guys, we're back in the studio and we're back in time. This is when I had time to talk about the news this week. So, like previous in the episode, Drew said, this is before the Direct. I don't know what happened. I really hope there was a Kit Icarus game. Come on, Mario Strikers, give me something good. But I'm sure I already talked about that in the car, so that's all good. Let's talk about reality. Let's talk about sales. I'm a big nerd. I love following the video game industry, and sometimes you got to take a step away from the fun games, the colors, the sounds, the bips and the bops. You got to break down some numbers. You got to work out, is capitalism working for these companies? And it will seem for Nintendo, yes, it is. Capitalism is very well alive for Nintendo. They're selling well, and I like following this stuff, and hopefully you guys do too. Let's give you a bit of an update. So let's jump into an article from GamesIndustry.biz, and the title is Switch is Nintendo's biggest selling console of all time at 103.5 million units. And the article reads, Nintendo has revealed that Switch has become the biggest selling console of all time at 103.4 million units shipped since its launch in March 2017. Now, just to clarify, that's the biggest selling Nintendo console. Obviously, the PS4 and the PlayStation 2 are ahead of that, but regardless. Continuing, confirmation of the milestone came as the platform holder updated its lifetime sale counts following its financial report for the latest quarter. It shows that the Switch has surpassed the 101.63 million units achieved by the Wii, Nintendo's previous biggest seller, a milestone that has been steadily approaching all year. However, it is yet to outsell the original DS, Nintendo's biggest selling handheld and games device. That stands at 154.02 million units shipped. A breakdown in Nintendo's financial report reveals that the new OLED model sold 3.99 million units in its first quarter. By comparison, the Switch Lite shipped 5.19 million units in its first 3 months.
The standard Switch model accounts for 81.68 million units of the console's lifetime units, while the Lite accounts for 17.87 million units. Nintendo also updated its software sales for Switch, which has now reached 766 million units. This is still behind 9.21 million units of games shifted by the Wii in its life cycle. The platform holder also updated the top 10 best-selling games on Switch, which saw Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl instantly become the 9th biggest selling title at 13.9 million units. The remakes of the Kanto games, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, are already just 360,000 copies away from being outsold by by the previous games. I have to reword that a little bit just to make sense. Elsewhere in the financial report, Nintendo revealed launch quarter sales for 2 other recent releases. Mario Party Superstars has already shipped 5.43 million copies, while Metroid Dread stands at 2.74 million. These figures were given in a chart of the best-selling games for the first 3 quarters of Nintendo's financial year, from April 1st to December 31st. Pokemon is a clear leader, well ahead of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's 7.96 million units shipped. Mario Party Superstars is already the 3rd best-selling game of Nintendo's year so far, with Metroid Dread in 10th place. Nintendo's financial quarter of the year also has some promising releases, with Legends Arceus already off to a flying start. That sold 6.5 million units in its first week worldwide, which is really, really phenomenal. So all the information sort of gets leaked out in that article, and my gosh, what a just amazing feat to accomplish. Nintendo's best-selling game console ever. You know, we've got a few caveats there. You know, a lot of people will be playing it in handheld mode, being like, you know what, it's definitely not a console. I've bought like 3 of these things for everyone in my family, whereas maybe with the Wii or even the Nintendo 64 or whatever have you, you know, you just had one in front of the TV. But this is just an amazing feat, guys. And, you know, to beat the Wii, Nintendo's best-selling console, but also, you know, the PlayStation 1, and there's heaps to go just in there. It's just absolutely fantastic. You know, it's weird to feel like, you know, good on you guys, you know, for just like a, you know, billion-dollar corporations that are going very well. But, you know, as a fan who, you know, really enjoys the product, I really do enjoy the Switch. I think it's, you know, it offers a lot of fun and enhances sort of my gaming experience in my life. So I'm glad that it's a success, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of this type of device from Nintendo in the future when they go forward. It's not going to be a Wii U situation where they look at the tablet and go, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. It did not work for us. we won't worry so much about it. Now, with like a lot of the you know, discussions about how much the Switch is sold, that it's outsold the Wii, a lot of the sites are now sort of set on the PlayStation 4, which is about 120 so million. So it's predicted that the Switch will outsell the PlayStation 4 eventually. Whether it's this year or not, I'm not sure. The PlayStation 4 is still being supported by Sony themselves. You know, Horizon's coming out next week for PlayStation 4. Gran Turismo is going to be coming out. God of War later this year is also confirmed for PlayStation 4. So that's still being supported with major titles. So I know sales have slowed down, but it's still going to trickle on for a little while. So when it eventually outpaces that, it's going to be setting its sights onto, the DS and eventually maybe PlayStation 2. And PlayStation 2 is the best-selling video game hardware of all time. It's pretty much outpaced everything by a country mile, apart from the Nintendo DS, which had, a lot of iterations that I bought most of them. It was only the DSi XL that I didn't get because, I was a kid. Like, I couldn't afford too many things. And I didn't. It was marketed towards old people too. I'm like, I'm not getting that big old thing, but in hindsight, it would have been pretty good having. But yeah, I remember I got the DS Lite. DS Lite I bought my own money. Then I asked for the DSi for my birthday, which was very cool to get. Anyway, yeah, everyone's set their eyes to the PlayStation 2, and I don't think it's going to hit PlayStation 2 numbers, guys. I know that Farakawa has said during this sort of financial report that he believes that they are currently at the halfway point in the Switch's life cycle. And I just, like, I understand these companies say this type of thing quite often. I know, like, Sony have said that with past models of their PlayStation consoles and stuff. But I just do not see another 5 years we're getting, say, that is the point where it's like, all right, this is a brand new console. Here's a new slate of games. Let's move on. It's just the Switch is just, it doesn't have the grunt, which is needed. It's showing its age now. So I don't know what Nintendo's sort of plan is, whether we are just going to see incremental upgrades. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. That's what I've been hoping for the last 2 years, with all these rumors about Switch Pro and all of that sort of jargon. We're all sick of hearing it, and I'm not going to discuss it, but that is what I'd like to see personally going forward. Just is incremental upgrades, games running better, games looking better, and just, better gaming experience overall. But, with the OLED, it's like, that's not going to be for a little while. So whether we're going to have like a prolonged life cycle of the Switch through that sort of method, or we are just going to see just the Switch hold on, and we're going to see like, oh, look, this is a nicer feeling Switch. It's got a glass screen and it's got an OLED screen. And apart from that, it's, the game's going to run the same and it's going to look the same. Not too sure. But PS2 numbers is massive, man. It's got to sell another, 50% of what it's already sold. It's like a little bit more than that even. So just it's still got a massive step. And not only is it's got to sell to people that currently do not see the value in a Switch for the price it's at, even though it's got most of Nintendo's biggest heavy hitters out there. It's already got a Mario. It's got the most revolutionary Zelda game that's been for the last 20 years. It now has Pokemon there, which is just in like the top 10, just absolutely killing it. I think it was worth Nintendo making the Switch to a hybrid console just to get Game Freak to develop Pokemon on it, because that is a massive thing. It's absolutely massive to get a Nintendo console backed by Pokemon. And I think it's showing, when you mix like mainline Zelda, Pokemon, and Mario together, this is what you get. You get Nintendo at their best, and it's just awesome to see. So really, really, I'm stoked. I am actually pretty stoked with the numbers. I know what I said before. Weird to be happy about a company's success or whatever, but it's a product that I really like. So I'm really happy that it's taken off. And 5 years ago, I was really excited for the Switch. Did not know how it was going to turn out. Was it going to be a Wii U? Was it going to be I thought it might just be a 50 million seller, and that's a hell of an improvement of what the Wii U did. But guys, let's have a real conversation here. If the Switch comes anywhere near the DS or PlayStation 2, we're going to be looking at the biggest comeback in just like a commercial product of all time. I can't think of too much more like mainstream like company that went from such a high to such a low and then come back stronger than ever. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal. The sort of the comeback. And now that they're really successful, everyone likes an underdog. Let's support Xbox. You know what I'm saying? No. I love Xbox. I'm joking. But let's talk about the top 10. So, we went through a few of those games, but there's still a few surprises in here, but not many. But the biggest surprise, I guess, is number 10, which is Ring Fit Adventure, still hanging on at 13.53 million copies sold. So, what Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's done pretty much, or just under half of this in a week. Ring Fit Adventure is getting kicked off, guys. And Pokemon is going to dominate this top 10, which is just nuts. So number 9 is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. We talked about this. This went straight onto the top 10 for Nintendo Switch title sales. And, how I feel about these games. I enjoy them. I enjoy Pokemon. It's classic Pokemon. It's a Pokemon game I really enjoyed in 2007. But on Switch with worse graphics and less features. That's what Pokemon Brilliant Diamond is. I mean, if you really don't mind playing it on DS, go and play Pokemon Platinum. I think that's actually a better game. It kind of looks better. But number 8 is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. these are probably going to stay on there until probably, honestly, a couple more Pokemon games kick it off, I think. Just really nice casual remakes of Kanto. A lot of fun. I enjoyed them. Super Mario Party is still on there at number 7, 17.39 million units. Number 5 is Super Mario Odyssey at 23.02 million units. Then up next is Pokemon Sword and Shield at 23.90 million units. And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is at 25.80 million. I think it's actually really nice to see that, in 2017, we're thinking to ourselves, Zelda cannot beat Mario. Like, it probably can't. And all these years later, Breath of the Wild, its reputation, its name, really, propelled it. And it kept it up there. It still sold, it still appealed to, pretty much more than a couple of million more people to go out and buy and enjoy. It was only out, 10 months longer or so. So I'm actually pretty happy that Breath of the Wild has sold more because I believe it is, a better game than Mario Odyssey. That's just my opinion. I think Mario Odyssey in my head hasn't really stood the test of time like I thought it might. But yeah, I'm not saying it's bad by any means. Just a thought I had. So it's my podcast. I can say what I want. All right. Next up is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate number 3, which has sold 27.40 million units. Awesome game. Glad to see it there. And the first two positions will not change. We've got Animal Crossing New Horizons at 37.62 million units. And at number 1, it'll never be knocked off. It's before Animal Crossing might catch it, but nope. Is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is at 43.35 million units. And I don't see the reason for a brand new Mario Kart game. I think I might be talking about this at the start of the episode somewhere. It might age really poorly if Mario Kart 9 or whatever is announced at the Nintendo Direct this week. But I really don't think we need another one, guys. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I don't think the top 10 Switch games is, it's not getting very robust. We're getting some typical games in there. I think the top 5 will hold in there. Your Smashes, your Mario, your Zelda. And the Pokemon games are going to really sort of fluctuate down the bottom there, depending on what's coming out and what's going on. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what other game can they bring out, which is like a cultural touchstone similar to what Animal Crossing was. I don't think we'll get anything within the Switch's life that will be as significant as that. But what will just really propel its way up, say, to number 5 within a year or so like that? That isn't say the next 3D Mario or Breath of the Wild 2 or even Pokemon. I think Legends Arceus is going to get up to, say, number 6. I think it will beat Pokemon Sword and Shield. Whether that is this year or next year or a couple of years, I don't know. I don't know the legs that game's going to have, especially with rumors that there are going to be more Pokemon games coming out pretty soon. So April, sort of pay attention to any Pokemon Directs that might be happening. All right, let's talk about a couple more sales for some of the other games that came out in 2021. So 2021 was a sort of an interesting year as well because we got a lot of games you'll typically see on, say, Nintendo 3DS or DS instead of the Wii or the Wii U in those eras. But WarioWare, Get It Together, sold 1.24 million copies, which isn't too bad. It's a little bit low, I feel like. But, they didn't go crazy with the marketing, and it is one of those games you don't expect to, sell 5+. So I would like to see it sell more. I think WarioWare is a fantastic series. This isn't necessarily my favorite title. I think Smooth Moves just knocks it out the park. But, good selling regardless. Metroid Dread at 2.74. So it's on the way to become one of the best, or the best-selling Metroid game. It's behind Metroid Prime on GameCube, I believe. I'm not exactly sure the numbers on that one, but it's selling very well for a Metroid game, which is great to see. We want to see these other Nintendo franchises that aren't your Mario, Zelda's, Pokemon, because while they are literally my 3 favorite franchises in gaming, you want to see more stuff. I want to see WarioWare, Kid Icarus, some of these more. They got so many IP, guys. It's more than just the big boys. All right, Mario Party Superstars sold 5.43 million copies. Mario Party for some reason sells really well. They're fun, but then I don't see why they sell so much. And Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain sold 1.28 million. It sold a little bit more than WarioWare now that, and that came out way later, a couple of months later. So that's actually kind of interesting to have a look at here. It hasn't outsold it by a heap, but outsold it by like enough, especially in the time span. So that's kind of interesting to look at. New Pokemon Snap sold 2.36 million copies within the financial year. So that was up about 2.19 million copies. That's interesting. I guess it's continuing to sell. How much does Zelda not Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword? It's about 6 million copies. There you go. So, games are selling well. Games are selling absolutely fantastic. And as it said in the article from gamesindustry.biz, the amount of Switch software has sold 7.66 million units sold. So a lot of games are getting sold on Switch within 5 years. It's getting up to the amount that the Wii has sold. Almost a billion games sold on the Wii. So absolutely cool. Like I can imagine if everybody's buying games at the clip I am, especially with like digital downloads, the sales environment is a lot better on the eShop than it was on Wii. That's for sure. The virtual console, and even when they brought in the WiiWare program, where it was pretty much like an Xbox Live Arcade or indie games on the PlayStation Network at the time, it's going to be a lot easier to sort of move those copies. So we're going to see a lot of games on Switch. We're going to see over a billion games, I feel, sold. So good all round. Fantastic sort of roundup for Nintendo. Like it's very positive. It's I don't feel like we've ever had a sort of a negative sort of look at the sales, and until the next system bombs, we're not gonna see it, I don't think, which is absolutely cool. And when I was just sort of looking around for news as well, I noticed a little tidbit that apparently combined through every single game Nintendo has sold, over 5.3 billion games in 38 years, which is just absolutely nuts. So we're looking at the best-selling amount of software for a Nintendo system was Nintendo DS, which sold 948 million titles. So that is absolutely amazing. Behind that is the Wii at 920 million. And then it's the Switch. So the Switch is in the third position. So we're only maybe a couple of years away from seeing Nintendo eclipse and also being one of the biggest attach rates as well for the system. And I'm looking here at the very bottom is the Wii U, which is no surprise. We've got 103 million games sold for that platform, so not too many. It's interesting. GameCube sold 208 million. There you go. So that basically does us for the numbers, guys. Nintendo's going well. They're going to continue making games, which is great. It means we get to play them at home. I get to talk about them. We'll get to have fun. Nintendo gets to make money. And hopefully they avoid things like NFTs, shitty microtransactions, all of that. And it just, I haven't brought this up on the sort of rundown I've got here, but Nintendo's not interested in NFTs because they don't see the fun in it, pretty much, which is good because I'm sick of these game companies. Just like, when it's just like, we're going to do microtransactions, we're going to do this. Like, fair enough. You make a bit of content, you sell it to us. Let's have some fun. It enhances my experience. I don't care if it's like a bit of a story mission or it's a nice helmet for your character. If you buy it, you get some enjoyment out of it. But when it's like NFTs, it's just like, they are just really trying to get some money out of you, aren't they? Like, you get nothing for that. You own that piece of the game that you bought, but you don't actually get to use it or like sell it on. Like, what are you people on about? Like, yeah. All right. So, with the numbers out the way, this is just some other information that came out of the sort of financial report, just about sort of upcoming games and software they plan to release, and maybe some kind of time or release schedule that they plan on releasing them. So some we knew, some we assumed, and yeah, most of it we just assumed. But the next game that is going to be coming out with a release date is from Square Enix. Triangle Strategy, the 4th of March, 2022. Very cool. Kirby the Forgotten Land got a release date. Awesome. It's the 25th of March this year. Then we got Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, which actually got delayed from last December. It's going to be coming out in spring, I assume US seasons, 2022. Then we got Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. We got Splatoon 2 long time ago. And Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Bayonetta 3 are coming out this year sometime. No release date, no time sort of scheduled. And Metroid Prime 4 was actually brought up, but it's to be announced. And was this in the direct? Do we have a rough idea what it looks like? The premise of the story? I doubt it, but hey, let's see, eh? So that does us for that. What a fantastic sort of rundown. I'm glad Nintendo's on the sort of trajectory. I can't say to direct. This is late at night. I'm literally recording this at 1 o'clock in the morning so I've got time to do it all before the baby comes home, and I can't talk like this. I surely can't for a little while. We'll see how well he sleeps. But yeah, trajectory. There we go. Got it out. Awesome. So very cool. Very cool. They also talked about sort of like plans for maybe a potential successor to the Switch. They just mentioned that like their KPIs and all that need to be in line to have a smooth transition from the Switch to the next generation Nintendo hardware, which sort of made some people say, "Oh, this confirms backwards compatibility." And I hope it does, because if my games library I've like digitally purchased just is unusable, I'll be grumpy. I'll be grumpy. All right. So that's the biggest news out the way. Just to bring it up for you guys to know, at the end of this week, worldwide, on Friday, we'll be having a massive eShop sale, allegedly. I'm reading this from Vooks.net. So basically, Nintendo tweeted, enjoy the savings on 1,000+ games in February Fest. Nintendo Switch eShop sale starting at Friday. 10 a.m. Australia Eastern Daylight Time. So don't know what's going to be on sale. Apparently the theme is going to be like colorful games. So that could be any Nintendo game. Could you imagine like, oh, we're going to put this Nintendo game on sale? It's like, nah, it's a bit drab. Doesn't look so good. We can't put that on sale. So fair enough. Well, that's an easy way. You know, Mario is colorful. Zelda's pretty colorful. Pokemon's colorful. Kirby's colorful. You know, there's a lot of games that could potentially go on sale. So go and check them out if you feel like it. Also from Vooks.net, this is pretty cool. So Yacht Games announced a brand new game, Minute the Hollower. So brand new Kickstarter has been revealed for a brand new game from Yacht Club Games. I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't even checked out the trailer, to be honest. I've just looked at screenshots, and it's a very cool throwback to, say, Game Boy Color games, which looks really nice. So I'm going to read this article, and I'm going to learn, well, not learn with you. You guys probably already know, to be honest. If you're a big Shovel Knight fan, you probably jumped on the Kickstarter. You're supporting this straight away. So the article reads, Yacht Club Games has been milking its teat of Shovel Knight for years, but now they're making a new game. Announced overnight, Minute the Hollower is an entirely new game with a Game Boy Color-esque aesthetic. There you go. And quote from Yacht Club, descend into a frightful world of action-adventure in Minute the Hollower. Take control of Minute, a renowned Hollower hurtled into a desperate mission to rescue a cursed island. Burrow beneath hazards and monsters, whip foes into oblivion, and gear up with an arsenal of sidearms and trinkets. Ooh, trinkets. Explore a vast world filled with pixel-perfect graphics, masterful gameplay, beastly bosses, and infectious music. Encounter a cast of bizarre characters, search out secrets in an array of exotic locales, and illuminate an oppressant darkness in Minute the Hollower. End quote from the nice little description of the game. The game was announced during a live stream, and a Kickstarter project was revealed soon after. At the time of writing, the Kickstarter was nearly successfully backed. The game is already in development either way. There's no release date or platforms yet, but with Yacht Club Games' previous history, a Switch release is all but assured. Now, I definitely agree with that. I'm going to check out the trailer right here, guys, because, I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to, video game announcements, news and that, just with, looking after my wife and both my child, it's just been a bit on Twitter. I'm like, oh, look, brand new game from Yacht Club. Cool. Shovel Knight was fun. I'm sure this is going to be great. I'll buy it when it comes out. So I'm just going to watch it now. The trailer goes for a minute or so. Oh, the sound's not coming through this. That's handy. Well, that's no good. The sound was meant to come through the roadcast, everyone, but technical difficulties. It's actually coming from the computer. There you go. Well, we might just leave it there. The game looks great though. It looks like like I said, a Game Boy Color game. Very cool. I'm keen to see if it, because for example, Dead Cells. It looks like a nice little pixel art game. Cool. But it feels so good to play. So if Yacht Club can sort of master sort of brand new gameplay innovations while making it look like a retro game you'd expect on a 20-year gaming handheld, that'd be really cool. It would be very cool. But regardless, let's move on from that. So this is from My Nintendo News, and the title is Kit and Krysta say that Nintendo Minute ended due to a point of reflection following Nintendo's San Francisco office closure. And I talked about this, I think, last episode. It was just I think it was about Kit leaving Nintendo, and he pretty much said, it was great here, au revoir, bye-bye. And, just speculation without sort of thinking about Nintendo's San Francisco offices getting their closure. This makes a lot more sense. To be honest, it's very human, and, it's pretty much something, any of us will do if we didn't want to leave our city we were based in for the last, decade and a half. So the article reads, Kit Ellis and Krysta Yang were once the hosts of Nintendo Minute, which was a series that would receive new episodes on Friday on Nintendo's YouTube channel. However, the series ended in December, resulting in fans speculating why Nintendo Minute suddenly stopped. Well, thanks to an interview with the pair that recently had with MinMax, they are no longer any questions. MinMax asked Kit and Krysta why they left. The former said that the closure of Nintendo's office in San Francisco was the reason. Was, quote, the reason, it's quite simple actually. The office we were in California is closing down. Ellis continued, saying that everyone was given the option to make the move up to Redmond, which is, I guess, in the Seattle area, for, I guess, those that don't know, and think for us, that was a point of reflection. It's time to think about what we've done and accomplished and what we might be able to do in the future. No, I think we're happy here. We're both from this area, so it's a new chapter, end quote. As for Krysta, her response was very similar. She said that the office closure was definitely a catalyst into thinking about what could potentially be next. Being somewhere for 13/14 years, you can't help to think about it's time for a change. Maybe it's time for something different, as much as we both love working at Nintendo. So, yeah, if I lived in a city that long and I liked it there, but well, time's up. I can either move and continue the job, or I can just move on to something new. And, in San Francisco, as far as the video game industry goes, there's lots of opportunities there, and try something different. You could work at a different video game company. There's lots of publishers there and all that. So, like I said last week, all the best to these two. I really hope they go on to have full, happy lives, good careers in the games industry, and just flex their muscles and enjoy themselves. I did see that Krysta actually posted a sort of a retweet of the announcement for a Nintendo Direct, and she's like, this is the first time in like a decade I'm going to be surprised on what's announced. So, I guess if you're a big Nintendo fan, you work at Nintendo, you do lose some of the magic that, just us at home sitting on our Switches, going on Twitter, seeing announcement for games. That magic is taken out of it. we'll get like a word from higher up, or maybe even the say the Treehouse team, like, all right, so this game from Sakurai is being developed. It's it's getting there. Let's get some of these packages in so we can start translating the game, localizing the game. And then like it's a job. You're like, oh cool, there's a new game from Sakurai, and he's finally making that goddamn Kit Icarus game, the sequel to Uprising. And and it just becomes work. And then it's like about marketing it on Nintendo Minute and the social feeds and blah 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 blah. Instead, they can just sit back and go, oh sweet, it's coming out next year. I get to play it, and it's not work. So, there is something to that too, especially, even if you're a big Nintendo fan, it doesn't mean you necessarily have to work there. They can enjoy it from outside. All right, so moving on, another article also from My Nintendo News, and this is very topical as far as the rest of the video game industry goes. Something I don't have to talk about too much here on the House of Mario, but the title is, Nintendo says it prefers to invest in its own employees than purchase large companies. And the article reads, Nintendo President Shigeru Furukawa has hit back at recent large-scale acquisitions from its competitors over at Sony and Microsoft, saying that the Tokyo-based company prefers to invest in its in-house employees and developers, rather than purchasing large gaming companies which do not fit with the company's ethos. Speaking with Bloomberg, Mr. Furukawa said that acquiring such large development studios would, quote, not be a plus to the company, end quote. So, what he went on to say was, our brand was built upon products crafted with dedication by our employees. Having a large number of people who don't pose Nintendo's DNA in our group would not be a plus for the company. So this is interesting. So, this is what I've always felt about Microsoft. I think they make a fantastic platform with Xbox. I really do. I think, especially with now the Xbox Series S, I think it's great diversity between those two consoles. Personally, for me, it fits in really well. I have the Series X in my living room. I have the Series S right in front of me on my monitor, and that gives me access to Game Pass and all of that sort of on my two different setups, so I don't have to swap too much around. But, the S is nice and small. It's compact. It was cheaper, and it's able to fit on my desk, just under my monitor, real easy. Whereas, the big beefy boy I can hide in the TV cabinet. And with Game Pass, the online infrastructure, they're good third-party support if you're not counting Japanese-made games like Persona and all of the JRPGs you'd like to see sort of come to a lot of these platforms, which I enjoy. I think they do like a fantastic job. It's just, with Xbox 360, they did lose me because it was just like, Halo 3, Halo Reach, the Forza mainline games, especially before the original Forza Horizon, which came out late Xbox 360, and Gears of War, which didn't really appeal to me. I've played it a little bit since, but it doesn't really do too much for me. So through Xbox One, they sort of went through a similar thing, and they had a great launch, but they just didn't really have games. And Phil Spencer and the team really, I think they knew that, they took that to heart. So that's why they said, all right, we're buying studios. And when they were buying studios one by one, I think that was really cool, like hand-picking studios, being like, all right, you guys did Hellblade, so Ninja Theory, we're bringing you in, we're going to load you up with money, you are going to make the best games you can possibly make, you've got the time, you've got the money, you've got the resources, let's really make some great stuff. And just with a lot of their other studios, like bringing Playground Games, which have been making the Forza Horizon series, fantastic open world driving games, a lot of fun. Even with the release of Forza Horizon 5, the series continues to get better and better. They've been handed Fable. They've proven that they're awesome at open world games. So that sort of, DNA will continue across those games. And look, studios like that make a lot of sense. But then it's like buying Bethesda. And a lot of the sort of talk went to like, oh, well, Microsoft now has the best first-party lineup. Like, look at their series now. They got Doom, they got Wolfenstein, they got Fallout, they got Elder Scrolls. And, in maybe 10, 20 years, we're going to brand associate all of those franchises with Xbox. And it's not going to be such a big deal necessarily. But at least right now, I can only speak how I feel right now. It feels like, they're taking the easy way out, which, they've got the money, they can. Like, good on them. They need to do something about their game situation. But it just doesn't really feel like it's necessarily earned or it's them. Whereas, like, PlayStation, bought studios. They've worked with them in the past. And when they sort of have a good relationship, they press the purchase button. Now, that hasn't necessarily happened with Bungie. I feel like, they've had a relationship with like the original Destiny when it was with Activision, like the marketing and all that. Obviously, they've got a relationship there. But when it's a studio that's so heavily associated with Microsoft, obviously making their biggest IP being Halo, this is a little bit strange. So when it comes to Nintendo, it's like, do you want Nintendo jumping into this race? Like, Nintendo's got a heap of cash. We know they've got a heap of cash from the Wii, and they've got a tremendous amount of cash from currently with the Switch. It's obviously doing better than the Wii at this point in its life. But like they cash pretty. I think last time I looked it up, what was it? It was like $7 billion. So it was like Nintendo has the amount of cash to buy Bethesda, like, and just empty its cash reserve. Like, for example. But do you really want like studios that are so different from Nintendo? There is no benefit to having like a publisher which is like making stuff like Elder Scrolls and that just be under Nintendo's banner. Especially like most of these publishers, they make most of their big games actually aren't on Switch or a Nintendo platform. Bethesda had a couple of ports here and there, but it really wasn't like their main sort of goal is getting onto Nintendo platform. So I think it's wise that Nintendo's isn't jumping into this game, because I think they can. They could buy Bungie, I guess, for $3 billion, but it really doesn't benefit them at all. Their last purchase was Next Level Games, which is a Canadian studio. They're responsible for the Mario Striker series, and they made like the most recent couple of Luigi's Mansion games, which after Luigi's Mansion 3 sold well, phenomenal game, and it felt like a Nintendo game. It had Nintendo DNA all over it. You wouldn't know if it was made in Japan or who made it. So that was a great purchase to just hit the button on. Same with Retro Studios back in the day as well. Like it's crazy that like the only other sort of studio outside of Japan was an American studio in Texas. And it's just because they had the special sauce that Nintendo's like, yeah, you can make Nintendo games. And that's what Nintendo's interested in making. Is they're interested in making Nintendo games. They're not looking at it being like, oh, we need a bloody live service game to really bring in that audience, and we've got the first person shooters here, we've got the third person shooters there, and we've got the bloody battle royale there. Look, they're not looking at that. They want to make Nintendo games, whatever that is. Like that could be anything from Splatoon to Legend of Zelda to Xenoblade Chronicles. Like it varies quite a bit, quite a diverse roundup, but when you see a Nintendo game, you know a Nintendo game. And Nintendo's biggest asset is its brand and its IP. So when it has a brand new team or brand new staff of people working on it, they really need to make sure that they can do the best by those IP. So while it's not acquisitions are off the table, I don't think it's going to happen. So anyway, it's going to be really interesting to see what Sony and Microsoft do, though. Regardless, just like it's a bidding war out there. It's really cool. It's not good for the industry, but it's something for the industry, and it's interesting to talk about. It dominates the Twitter feed for a couple of days, anyway. All right, so moving on to some smaller news before we start wrapping things up and go into the Redcoin recommendations or the releases. Redcoin releases. The Pokemon Company actually released a brand new website where you can actually listen to the soundtrack for the original Pokemon Diamond and Pearl games. Really strange. Last week we talked about a YouTube channel that was getting thousands of videos taken down by Nintendo containing their soundtracks. They basically just had like blank videos with just each song from soundtracks where people can go and listen to it, since Nintendo doesn't actually provide it themselves on their own YouTube channel or Spotify or Apple Music. But the Pokemon Company themselves, they've gone out and actually just supplied their music on a website, not like a music listening platform. You would probably appreciate them. So just a tweet on Twitter from at Pokemon. they're quoted for saying, announcing the new Pokemon DP sound library. All the music you love from the original Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl games is now available to listen to and to download for use in personal video or music creation. So this is a little bit weird after such a massive takedown, but this is the Pokemon Company, a little bit different to just Nintendo themselves. But so you can basically just go and listen to the original music, or you can actually download it, and they say that you can use it in personal video and music creation. So what I'm just like curious about, so I'm sure they've got this in the dot points and the small text on the website, but just like personal video creation, does that mean you can upload it to YouTube? Does that mean you can monetize that video? I don't know. I really don't know, but probably best not using Pokemon music in your videos anyway if you're actually trying to make a buck out of things. But yeah, interesting just after that news anyway. I don't see why their music isn't available on streaming platforms. It's really annoying because back before, say, Spotify was pretty mainstream, Pokemon Company did a really good job at actually releasing the soundtracks just on iTunes. And I bought a couple of them. They released them all the way from Pokemon Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire. Then they did the remakes for Red Leaf Green. Like they released all these soundtracks you could buy separately. 20, I think it was like $20 Australian an album. And I bought like the ones I really liked. I bought the Ruby and Sapphire one, listened to a lot of it. And then when it was time to move to Apple Music and Spotify, they weren't available. It's really, really weird. Like even on Apple Music, you think like everything on iTunes would just be on Apple Music, but it wasn't. It was annoying. So I couldn't actually listen to them, and they're still not. This was years ago. This was 7 years ago where I actually looked at it. Well, the Pokemon soundtracks aren't there. That's a bit strange, and they're still not. So that is something I'd like to see fixed. Like if they just want their music out there, if they're making a whole website dedicated to this, I'd like to see them just more accessible on platforms people actually use. Because I can see why. They probably just like want more money out of people visiting their site than actually getting from the streaming platforms. But regardless, it's another day. It's another weird decision by a Pokemon Company. So we'll see if we ever do see these soundtracks available on streaming platforms we actually use. And the last story I want to touch on is just a strange one I threw in there. So this is from Nintendo Life, and the title is "The Wii U is getting a brand new eShop game in 2022, and it will include the Wii Balance Board," which is what? The article reads, "If you thought the Wii U was dead, think again. Although the platform has been completely abandoned in terms of first-party and major third-party support, there are indie developers that are keeping its legacy alive. Following on from the launch of a 2D platform, Captain U, last December, there's another arriving later this year in 2022. Silver Fool's White Inside Its Umbrella is a horror game, originally revealed by Sun Grant Studios last September. That will include the Wii Balance Board support as an additional controller for movement. The developer, Drewdeo, has now shared a first look gameplay reveal, which you can see in a video, which I will link the Nintendo Life article if you want to go and check it out, if you want to find the video. But it's just a bit weird. According to the creator, there aren't available to offer physical copies, but it will be a eShop exclusive in PAL regions. And if you were wondering, Nintendo is still apparently accepting new game submissions, and the eShop is remaining open in the foreseeable future so that people continue to download games. This title is a part of a larger series of the Silver Fool games, with some titles already available on various other platforms like Nintendo Switch and 3DS. So really, really weird. So, other platforms in the past, like the PlayStation Vita, there was a vibrant community based around the Vita. The Vita was an awesome handheld console. It was fun to play. The indie scene was really great. And Sony sort of abandoned it, said, we're not doing handhelds anymore. So there was no other Sony handheld to move on to. So a community really stuck with that system until pretty recently, to be honest. I think it was like sometime last year where Sony wasn't allowing games to be uploaded to the PlayStation Network anymore. And that's understandable to me. But the Wii U, I don't know, is there a scene out there where like, you know, hardcore Nintendo fans are still like playing their Wii U, checking the Wii U eShop, seeing if there's any like games still coming out for it. I don't know. I'm certainly not there, but guys, let me know at iDrewdeo on Twitter if you are still into your Wii U, if you're purchasing brand new games coming out, and if you're into horror, you're going to really enjoy this game. It looks pretty cool. I watched the video. It's about an 8-minute video, and the gamepad's kind of used as like a phone. You got like different apps and that, and you've got to use them to interact with the world. Using the Wiimote as like a flashlight. You're looking around, and I haven't seen like the balance board support, but it looks like you've got to like move around with the Wiimote D-pad, because the other hand is literally just like holding a massive phone essentially. So you're moving around that. So you can use the balance board to like balance around, which will actually, you know, it's actually kind of fun. Like I know it sounds pretty dumb, but in like a horror setting where there's tension and you're like trying to go around, it might be actually kind of fun, just like leaning backwards and forwards, trying to run away from whatever's trying to get you, and you're tapping your phone, trying to activate stuff, and you're looking around at your flashlight. It could be interesting. I don't think it's going to be like amazing or anything, but it's an interesting premise that can only be done on the Wii U. There's no balance board, there's no gamepad or on Switch, so there you go. All right, that brings us to the end of our news, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's jump into the Red Coin releases, and then we'll get out of here. All right, so I actually haven't picked the 3 games I want to talk about. I actually don't know. I haven't looked at my Switch for a week. I finished Pokemon Legends. It was a lot of fun. But since then, I haven't looked at my Switch. And to be honest, I don't know. So what we got here? We got Millie and Molly for $10. Let's have a look at that. I think it's a pretty slow week. So Millie and Molly, 2 diverted sisters, one incredible adventure. Millie and Molly is a retro-inspired puzzle platformer that will put your problem-solving skills to the test. Can you guide your fearless heroines through 100 themed puzzles to defeat the malicious monsters that stand in their way? Use your wits to work out the best route to complete each level. Reunite the sisters, then swap between them to navigate mind-bending puzzles. If you make a mistake, you can simply use the rewind feature to try a different approach. A featuring retro-inspired graphics and music, and 5 uniquely themed puzzle zones. Millie and Molly will take you on an adventure like no other. So yeah, $10. Go and get it. I'm looking at the screens now. Looks like it kind of looks a bit Mega Man-y, to be honest. Looks cool. Look, I think this could be very much a Mario and Donkey Kong kind of game. It could be actually pretty cool. I loved Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy. So this could be kind of similar. You're basically like going around. You got to get to the top to get to your other sister. Going up ladders, all of that. There's a screen here where there's zombie enemies. And with that rewind feature, like, you know, you're like, oh, let's see if I can go there. And like this sort of like a swamp enemy comes down and crushes you or something. It could be actually kind of cool. Actually, I kind of just reading it didn't really convince me, but looking at it, that was kind of fun, especially because, yeah, it does remind me of Donkey Kong. Cool. Well, $10. Go and get that, maybe. Potentially go and have a look at it. What we got here? We got, I'm just going to go through the list. This is provided via Vooks.net, provided every week. Very, very useful for us here in Australia. All right, we got Hungry Ball Physics. This is for $3.90 on the Australian eShop. I'm sure this is a rip snorter. Let's have a look at the graphics here. All right. Draw a path and overcome obstacles, hurdles, and brain teaser to lead the Hungry Ball to its loved sweets. Hungry Ball Physics is a physics puzzle game where you need to draw lines to lead the balls to sweets. You have to overcome obstacles and hurdles in over 99 brain-teasing levels. So the features... simple physics puzzles with great gameplay, not shit gameplay. All right, just to reinforce that. Over 99 levels, which, you know, I said before, which, yeah, you got to re-emphasize these things. Puzzles with increasing difficulty. So, you know, it's got a good difficulty curve. I'm starting to lose my voice a bit. Sorry. It's got a good perv. Fucking hell, Drew. What the hell's going on? All right. What's another one? Food delivery battle. Interesting. All right. Hey, this game actually... No. So you can get this game for $5.25. And this is a delivery action game where you carefully deliver food to customers while kicking other delivery men out the way using items such as missiles and shockwaves. Shockwaves. Jesus Christ, that's violent. Objective of the game. When you start the game, you will see many delivery men at work. This is a fierce underground of food delivery. Try and deliver more food than the other delivery men within the time limit and aim for first place. So this is like dot points here. Machine upgrades. Are you worried about getting paid for your deliveries? Of course. You will be rewarded every time you complete a delivery. The secret to victory is to use the money to upgrade your bike and prepare for the next delivery. Items. The other delivery men are powerful enemies. If you improve your bike, you will have even if you improve your bike, you will have a hard time as the other rookie. But there is nothing to worry about. You can use items placed all over the city to hinder the other deliverymen. And the graphics, it looks pretty ordinary. It looks it looks like a PlayStation 1 game or PlayStation 2 game. Let's be honest here. Look, talking about PlayStation 1 and 2, a lot of people are poo-pooing Pokemon Legends. The graphics aren't very good in 2022 on Nintendo Switch. They're lacking. They leave a lot to be desired for a $80 game. I get that. But a lot of reviews are saying even the GameCube could do this. Guys, have you seen a fucking GameCube game in the last 10 years? Have you looked at Pokemon Coliseum? Have you looked at even Mario's Sunshine? No, it doesn't look like a GameCube game. That game with Legends Arceus would look amazing on a GameCube. It'll look amazing on a GameCube. Let's not get our titties tangled here. All right, let's not get our titties tangled. Even a Wii, Legends Arceus would look amazing. Now you compare it to Wind Waker, which is a timeless art style. Yeah, we can talk there. But look, nah. All right. I'm actually enjoying reading these random games. There's nothing that stands out here. What have Vooks recommended for highlights? So there's Webbed, there's Magma Lord, Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments, and Axio. Okay. Gotcha. Well, let's read Magma Lord. All right. They've recommended it. So if this is this is a $60 game. An action JRPG straight from the depths of hell. Fast and furious gameplay for intense battles. Square off against powerful beasts in a fast-paced battles as you try and regain your power. Feel the DG gauge as you unleash a demon lord of swords ultimate attacks for a wide variety of combat strategies. Cool. So it looks like if you're sort of into... It's got a very Fire Emblem aesthetic and sort of inventory looking system. Obviously a very different sort of gameplay, being a JRPG with turn-based mechanics. The art looks nice though. Kind of Persona-y. Persona 5-y. Obviously not as nice. Very cool. Let's look at Webbed. It's got an Australian flag next to it, so maybe it's Australian developed. You get that for $19.99 on the Australian eShop. Webbed. So Webbed is the story of a happy little spider on an adventure to save her boyfriend from a big, mean brown bird. Explore the dangerous wilderness with nothing but your webs and your wits. Practice the art of web swinging to speed your way through the world. Leave your own unique mark by spinning webs through an interconnected world. Stick webs to almost anything and use them to create your own paths. Make friends with bugs and dance with them. Some bugs could use a little help from a friend and might even join your rescue effort in return. All right, so let's look at the gameplay here. It's kind of pixel arty in like a Newgrounds kind of look. If you remember Newgrounds from the early 2000s, a site where you could upload animation works and stuff like that before YouTube sort of took over that. Reminds me of that. Bit of a platformer where you're progressing through the level using your webs, and there's like ants and different bugs which looks like they're offering your help. There's an ant here. It says, well, what are you waiting for, comrade? So maybe he's taking orders from the spider here. Could be cool. Could be cool. From S-Bug Games is the publisher. Haven't heard of them before. Very nice. So look, there's always an amazing game coming out on the eShop. I'm sure, like, when I read down this list, it's all just gobbledygook. There's a lot of shit I just read as well. But it looks like there's some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to read one more. I'm going to read Axio. Oh, it's a big fluffy duck as the first picture. Ooh. So you get this for $7.50. A great adventure in search of monobrow. Search of the monobrow, okay. Is there anything better to spend your whole weekend with your friends that have a Quack-Tendo entertainment system plugged into your TV and the brand new game just came out from the box into your hands? Actually, I have a list of great things to do instead, but today I would love you to join us and play Axio. This game is a blast among the fans of really hard and challenging titles. You're going to love it. The premise is simple. This is the game about a little duckling, Alex. The day when he turned 6, he learned the hard truth from his father. To become a true Drake, he had to complete the journey on his own and find his monobrow during his travels. Alex had a hard time trying to get some sleep because he knew that his journey would be the most exciting thing for him ever. That's a long sentence. You have to travel with Alex, overcome a set of obstacles, and get through meadows, lakes, mountains, woods, caves, and ancient ruins on your way to the temple that keeps your hard-earned reward. Intriguing, right? This means it's time to stop reading this and start playing. There you go. So the artwork is like very, very basic 8-bit, kind of like what you might expect in a kind of like a maybe even a Commodore 64 game with like heaps of colors. Oh, way more detailed than Commodore 64, but it looks like it's just very basic artwork, which it looks kind of cool for a $7.50 game. Could be a nice little pickup. It is hard. It's a hard market to be in when like this would be a very cool game made by a very nice developer at a very affordable price. Probably entertain you very much for a night or two, but just in the current situation, like if you have a PlayStation and all that, you're going to be getting Horizon next week. We got a lot of stuff on Switch. The backlog is just overwhelming. It's hard. It's hard, man. It's hard. But we try to sort of highlight some of these games on Switch just every week. Just, there are some gems out there. I know sometimes it's just from me being like, what the hell is that? Literally Million Molly. Just clicked on it. It looks like kind of a cool sort of take on Donkey Kong. Especially my favorite Donkey Kong being Donkey Kong 94. Just like little examples like that. $10. It's probably a fantastic game. It's probably a lot of fun. And it will last you like a good amount of time. So I'll continue to do it. I enjoy reading them. Some are just dumb with bad English. Some have great English and I just ruin it anyway because I'm tired and my reading ability is dwindling as we speak. So we'll leave it there, guys. I really want to thank you for listening to episode 214 of The House of Mario. This is something I'm recording a bit later. What time is it? It's currently almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I got home, honestly. I'm very tired, but I can't sleep. I'm sort of jacked up on adrenaline, and I'm very, very excited to have my new son come home. Very excited. When my son first came into the world, I was like, oh, look, I was happy that I was just so relieved that my wife got him out in one piece, that she was mostly in one piece, because there were a few scares there where I'm like, oh God, it's gonna become a C-section, this is gonna happen, but ultimately it turned out very well. And look, over the course of today, just holding him and putting him to sleep, learning how to change his nappy, feeding him. Look, I'm just falling more and more in love every second, and becoming a father is certainly a very, very exciting and daunting experience. And I'm glad to be a part of the club with Bryce and a lot of you guys out there. I really, really am. And I can't wait to see him grow up and all of that comes with it. So yes, thank you guys for joining me. I know this is a bit of a different episode. I hope the sound quality held up in the first half where I was recording it on the way back to the hospital. And yeah, just absolutely awesome. If you guys like this show, even if it's just me or it's with my co-host Bryce DeWitt, you can leave us an Apple Podcast or Spotify review, whatever platform you use. Give us a review there, 5 stars. Really does help out the show. When you type in Nintendo or something, it will just basically make us a bit more prominent in there. If you would like us to, be in more people's ears and be able to put more content out and all that fun stuff. We have a Patreon as well, which I'll be, revamping a bit more as get a bit more time, a bit more security with the baby going on. But of course, you can check that out at patreon.com/iDrewby, where you can also support my other podcasts like A Drew Story, which I have an episode going up with my wife Chantel. We recorded an episode the day before he was born. Then I'm going to do like a bit of a bit of recording like this afterwards to put it at the end of that. So check out A Drew Story. I do another Nintendo podcast, which is very much like this actually. It's called ENCORE at the House of Mario. It's basically a platform I've made so I can just sit down and do solo discussions about Nintendo topics that I'm really passionate about. And they usually lean a bit more evergreen, so I can put them up and just people can listen to them at their leisure. Aiming for a bit shorter episodes, so if you have like a 20-minute drive or something like that, you'll be able to fit that in. So ENCORE at the House of Mario as well. And Crackin' Furfies, which has been a lot of fun. I do that with 3 other friends of mine, and it's basically a show where we all grab 2 real stories and we make up a fake story, which is the Furfy. Furfy is basically a lie that has been, a story that's been told and told again and sort of loses its true meaning. So we basically make up a story, and the other 3 people have to sort of guess which one is the Furfy, which is a lot of fun. So go and check out those podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube when I get back into a bit more content on there. But until then, guys, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. I'll catch you later.
You just listened to the House of Mario, a South Australian Nintendo podcast. Be sure to follow the boys on Twitter, leave an Apple Podcasts review, and join the Discord server to be a part of the community. A big thank you to these legends who support the show on Patreon at the producer level: Alex Harding, Sam Hay, and DJ. If you would also like your name in the credits, head over to patreon.com/iDrewby and choose the tier that works for you. Until next time, we hope your day is 120 Power Star rated.